Hi everyone, welcome back to Seem Normal. Happy new month. Today I am going to be doing another video about obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. My first OCPD video is my most viewed video, so I wanted to do another one to see if y'all are still hanging, still with me. Let's get started. This video is going to be on struggles in the workplace of people who live with OCPD. And I want to start out, as I usually do with anytime talking about OCPD, the fact that it's not OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. And it's not COPD, which has the exact same letters but switched around. OCPD is a personality disorder, so emphasis on the P there. It's characterized by perfectionism, and I'll link this where I'm getting this from down below. Caused by an underlying desire for the need to control their environment and complete things to an unreasonably high self-determined standard. Often, the behavior of individuals with OCPD is driven by their fear of being perceived by others as imperfect, incompetent, or unsuccessful, leading them to engage in compulsive behaviors such as adhering to a stringent set of rules, routines, or ideals about the way things should be done. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, is an anxiety disorder, while OCPD, obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, is more about the mindset and less about the repetitive behaviors that people with OCD may have, although it is possible to have both. So I want to talk about the frustrations in the workplace because it is one of the places we spend the most time, right or wrong, and so many things can be frustrating when in the workplace, especially for people with OCPD. So I'm going to go into a few of those right now. Also, if you don't have OCPD, you can probably relate to a lot of these things as well. Okay, so the first category of frustrations, because there's a ton of them, is meetings. Meetings gets its own category because there are so many different things that can be wrong with meetings. I mean, you can see how passionate I'm getting about it right now, and I'm not even in a meeting. So meetings without agendas, meetings that don't follow the agenda that was established and agreed upon, meetings that don't start or end on time, and just meetings in general are really the worst. So why is that? Well, unless you're leading the meeting and you're running a really tight ship, meetings are one area in the workplace in which there's very little control. So when we think OCPD, we think trying to control everything around us. Meetings, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to do that there. And when we can't control, or we try to and we don't do it successfully, we feel triggered. We get angry, maybe, for example. And when we try to control, which we do, that's kind of what we do, but we're trying to get away from doing that. We are expending way too much energy trying to do that, and we get like no reward from it. It's just not worth it. So that's why the first category is meetings, and I'm gonna let my heart settle down a little bit because I was really passionate about that just now. The second, what am I calling these? Struggles of people is burnout, but here's why. People with OCPD have high standards, as in like impossibly high standards for themselves that sometimes they meet, but often they do not meet because they're next to impossible. So honestly, we don't trust others to do the same. And perhaps rightfully so. Perhaps we have evidence of other people not doing things very well. They're not doing great work. So we're like, we know you're not going to do great work. So what do? We pick up all of the tasks that we can because we know that if we don't do it, it's not going to be done right. So sort of the workplace motto for people with OCPD is, if you want anything done right, you have to do it yourself. Yeah. Can you relate? Yeah. What happens is we take on as much as possible or impossible, and we also fail to delegate. We're just not able to delegate tasks. We don't trust people to be able to do the standard of work that we want. And we can't control the way that they do it. So what happens is that plays a serious role in our burnout. It can also trigger a growing resentment toward others and toward our work in general because we view that people are not pulling their weight. when really we have standards that are way too high and that are not productive. And that's sort of the role that self-awareness can play. Like if you know that that's the case with you, that is, as we say, awareness is the first step. All right, so the next thing I have is being surprised. And while I've done a whole video and a blog post about coping with criticism, especially when you have OCPD, I actually failed to mention, or I didn't actually know this back then, that this is a big component of receiving criticism, and that is if you're surprised by it. So say you go in and you know what the person's gonna say, that they're not gonna like blank, or they're gonna want blank. Okay, you can predict that. You can control. Basically, you've controlled that. You know exactly what your mind reading. Okay. That can be helpful because we can then rehearse our responses ahead of time in our heads. However, when you think that this is, for example, a piece of work that's super basic, it takes like none of your time and it's the easiest thing ever, and you put your work out, and for example, I'm in communications, and so it's just a tough spot to be in to actually produce work that goes out into the world. And have OCPD, just tough, just real tough. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, if something super easy to you that you've done perfect, let's say, and all of a sudden something comes back, you know, some piece of criticism or feedback that you weren't expecting, that for me at least is when I feel the very most triggered. I can receive feedback and criticism when I know that it's coming. It's a surprise element for me. And so that's what I did not realize, I think, when I was making that other video and blog post, which I'll link down below. By the way, I'll link all of my OCPD stuff down below. So, yeah, I don't know. I came up with that in this period of self-awareness about like a month ago, and it's the being surprised part. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to talk about today as a struggle of a person with OCPD is not finishing things. So we have this in common with people with ADHD. I actually went through neuropsychological testing or something and determined I don't have ADHD, but here's a symptom that I do share with people with ADHD, which is finishing things is just not where it's at. Let's just not go there. Let's do a really, really, really stellar job on all of these projects. And then let's get to the end and have some finalizing details or running it by certain people, and let's not do it. Here's why I think why that is. As I was planning for this video, I was trying to think why maybe that could be. And finishing either means you have to show others, which is scary, or you make your work live into the world, which is also scary. And both of those things could bring on surprises that you are not expecting, that you cannot control. So while you can control how much effort you're putting into the work in front of you, you can control not finishing it. You can choose not to finish it. That's within your control. Once you've finished, it's likely there's going to be elements that are not within your control anymore. And that's why we don't want to finish things. At least that's what I came up with. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I will link all of my OCPD content down below so that you can find it. Be sure to like this video if this is the type of content you'd like to see more of. It helps a lot. My other one had like 40 likes, which is a ton for my videos. So thank you. And then you can also visit my website, which is youseemnormal.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.